Jesus the Nazarene knew the universal language of light in all of its fullness. He knew the ecstasy of inner thinking as no man has ever known it. He knew the structure of the atom as no one before or since has known it. Jesus knew the universality of all things, the oneness of all things. He gave that knowledge to the then dull-witted, brutal, lustful, loveless world in his much-needed message of brotherly love. He lived again in John and Paul and Polonius and all those messengers who knew the light of universal thinking. In Jesus' day, man was not ready for the fullness of his mighty teachings. Man was still new. He was still in the ferment of his intellectual brewing, still searching for the avenging God of tradition, to whom he could appeal for preferential rulings. Jesus gave to man the one great message of all time. He taught the universality of all things in the white light of the Universal One of impartial love, from whose rulings there is no appeal, but only a few could faintly understand. Today the world is ready and eagerly awaits the completion of his message. When Jesus said, "I have yet many things to say unto you, but you cannot bear them now," he referred to his complete knowledge of the universal force. When he further promised, as recorded in the 16th chapter of John, that the Spirit of truth will again come to guide you into all truth, and he will show you things to come, he prophesied the completion from time to time of his unfinished message, as evolving man is able to bear or comprehend that message. The illumination of the immaculate light was complete in Jesus. Those messengers of the light who will complete his message to man will comprehend the fullness of his anointing in the light from his words. All things that the Father hath are mine. Therefore said I, that he shall take of mine, and shall show it unto you. Jesus gave to man sufficient unto his day, and wisely withheld that which should be for another day. That which is herein translated from the light, and that which is yet to come, will be for the day of man now dawning. All who desire to know the light of universal thinking can know it, when they can but comprehend effects of cause sufficiently well to recollect from within their inner minds the light of cause. When that day comes to man, he will then know that everything that is must be of everything else that is. Nothing can be of itself alone. There can be no two of anything in the universe, two substances, two minds, or two beings. All things are universal. All things are one. Now I want to read a little bit about that's in the back of this book, about the University of Science and Philosophy, which is in Virginia. It's the Walter Russell Foundation, formed for the purpose of giving to the world family the message of the Divine Iliad by Walter Russell, which is a scientific explanation of God's ways and processes in the construction of his universe, and the message of the Living Philosophy by Leo Russell, for illuminating man's cosmic way of life in his long journey of life from the dark to God's light. These two purposes are one, for one gives man the knowledge of how to live life and manifest his Creator, and the other gives him knowledge of what life is and his relation to his Creator. We fully realize that the human race is in a very early stages and can advance only as new knowledge comes into the world to make one know what life is for and why God put man here to live it. We fully realize that our present-day world disunity is entirely due to our primacy and the attendant ignorance of the basic essentials of knowing how to live life. We are still in the stage where our greatest values are money and transient physical possessions, instead of the enduring spiritual values of mutual service of man to man. The early stage of man's unfolding is the cause of wars which men institute to acquire the physical possessions of others for themselves. That stage of greed for power over others and the physical possessions of others must be entirely eliminated from human consciousness before a happy race of humanity is possible. To exalt mankind above the present low physical level to the higher spiritual level, which all men will eventually reach. The University of Science and Philosophy has instituted a course of study which gives the knowledge required by man to tell him of himself, his purpose on earth, the laws which govern his own being, and those concerning his relationship to other men and to nature. The main foundation of these studies is a one-year home study course, issued monthly in 4 lesson units, entitled Universal Law, Natural Science, and Living Philosophy. So they offer a study course. You might want to check into that. So that is the purpose of that foundation, and this is the end. Except I want to say just a little bit after having read all this. I didn't understand all of the science of it, but I do understand the fact that we're all one. And I do understand that what we think and what we know is very important because it's creating our reality. And even though our reality is an illusion, we have to understand we're sort of on like a virtual reality ride where it seems like everything is so real because our senses are so functioning so well. But that's just how virtual reality works. The bigger part of ourselves, which is more connected with God, or maybe completely connected with God, we have lost touch with. And only when we understand that this is illusion, which is something that sometimes aggravates people to hear that we are only an illusion, because they think of it as so real, they don't want to hear that it is illusion for some reason. It frightens people to know that, or to think that. But I think it's empowering if we know that we are illusion, and yet, as an illusion, we can understand the nature of the illusion, understand all this science of it, and we could do some remarkable things with the science that Walter Russell knows. I think we could come up with some renewable energy sources for sure, because this book talks about nothing but energy, energy, energy. And some of these scientific understandings could give us an understanding of how to manipulate this illusion a little better so that we don't continue using all of the resources that are diminishing these days. But I do think that there is one that the masters use where they don't have to use any kind of fossil fuels at all, that wherever they go there is light and there is warmth because it emanates from their very beingness. And maybe that's what we need to put more emphasis on than even the scientific understanding of how to create a new energy field that would serve us better than what we're now using. I think maybe we should just learn that when we become love, our very love, that is what God is, will create for us, as the masters have created for themselves, every needed item, so that we need not be in debt to any person or any government or anyone. For no one could harm us, no one could starve us out, no one could deprive us of the things that we can just create with our own thought. On the contrary, they would be the ones who would need our help. And we know that those who don't follow the way of light will probably need our help someday. And we will be glad to give it to them because we won't treat them as they have treated us. We won't fall into that trap that is in this illusion that says, hate those who hate you. We're going to do the thing that Jesus said to do. Be good to others and love your enemies. So remember, resist not evil, but come into an understanding of evil and love it into the light. Transform it with your thoughts. Scatter the evil with your eyes. Call it not as it appears, but as you want it to be. Because you're the storyteller. So let's tell some good stories.